Welcome to EDUC 2204 Introduction to Education. My name is Dr. Mark Brunner. This is the online summer class for summer 2013. It's will run from June 24th to August 15th. I want to tell you a little bit about me. That's me over there on the left. My wife and I, one of our favorite places to visit is New Orleans, and that was a picture in New Orleans. Right above me is my wife, Barbara. We've been married for 38 years, and below Barbara is my granddaughter, and that's Cameron. And next to her is my wife and my other granddaughter, Gracie. And not pictured is the most recent granddaughter, Chloe. Up above, you'll see a picture of looks like a lake, and if you look really hard, there's a lighthouse. I was born in Ohio on Lake Erie, and every summer I go back and visit. My parents still live up there, and that's a picture of the lighthouse just right down the lake from where my parents live. And over to the far right is my wife's pride and joy. When we're up here in Georgia, we like to garden, and that's our summer garden from last year. So that's a little bit about me, and I'm going to be looking forward to getting to know you throughout this summer. This PowerPoint is just to kind of give you an overview of what the class is going to be like. So if we go to the next slide, I will be in Florida most of the summer, and but I'll be available basically whenever there's a need. There's my email address. I check my email on a regular basis. Feel free to call me if you look at the syllabus. There's also my cell phone number. I never have a problem with students calling. If there's need for assistance, please give me a couple days notice, and we can set up a time to set up an online chat or do a Skype or anything like that if you just give me a little advance notice. This is the text that we'll be using, and it's called Learning and Teaching. I think you'll find the text to be readable and of interest, and I've put forth some special efforts to make sure that I've matched what's in the text with what you'll be learning and with what will be tested. So I've worked very hard on the alignment of the content with the assessment. Next slide, slide 5, is a course description. This course, EDUC 2204, is really to introduce you to the processes of education and teaching and learning. The main focus will be on philosophies that influence our teaching and learning today. We'll be spending some time on educational philosophy. We're also going to analyze some current issues and events that challenge teachers today. There's also an observation component related to this course, and I will, prior to starting the class, I will go into that observation component more thoroughly, but I'll give you an overview of that component at this time. You'll have an opportunity to observe in local schools. Basically, we require 10 hours of observation for this class, and we ask that students divide up the time between elementary, middle, and high school so that you get an opportunity to see what education is like at all of those levels. So if you're interested in high school, our suggestion is that you do 5 hours of observation at the high school level, and then possibly 3 hours at the middle school, and then maybe 2 at the elementary. If you're an early childhood major, you might want to do 5 at the elementary, 3 at the middle school, and 2 at the high school. Now, this observation component, you really can't do it over the summer because the schools are not in session, but the observation component will be done or conducted in the fall when you return. I'll meet with you, kind of go over what's involved in this component, and then you'll have, probably about a month and a half to conduct your semester hours. So as you're taking the class in the summer, when we finish the class, you'll receive an I for the course, incomplete, But once you complete your observation hours, then we will generate a grade, and that usually occurs right at mid-semester, first part of October. So as you can see in this next slide, slide 7, again, as I mentioned, it involves 10 classroom observation hours at Union and Towns County. And this is required for all education majors. If you're not an education major, there's another option that we can take a look at and discuss called option B. I would like to have the observations completed by September 30th, 2013. That's a Monday. So that would give you about a month and a half to complete. And as I mentioned, you'll have an I grade, an incomplete grade, after you complete the summer segment, but that will turn into a grade once we have those observations done. At the bottom of that slide, slide 7, you'll see that we also need a criminal's records check and liability insurance. I'll go over that with you should you decide to take the class. Criminal records check can be obtained through the town's sheriff's department. It's a $10 cost. Liability insurance can be obtained online, and I will give you the information for that at $7. So the costs for criminal background check and liability insurance are really minimal. If you decide to continue with education, every year you will need to update your criminal records check and your liability insurance. All right, slide 8. Again, this is information about criminal background check and liability insurance. And you must have those two items before you can begin your observations. The schools will not allow us into the school unless we have record of a criminal records check and our students have liability insurance. All right, slide 9 basically is just a review of the requirements for the class. The first, as we've been talking about, has been the field experience and the observations. That's going to be worth 200 points. That's the 10 hours observation. Basically what you do is you bring a log with you, which I will provide, and you fill out the teacher's name, the time that you're there, and then the teacher will initial or sign that you have been there. You'll also be completing an observation journal, which will be comprised of field notes that you'll take while you're out in the classrooms, some type of connection between what you're seeing in the class and or what you're seeing in your observations and what we're learning in class. And then there's what we would call a reflection piece, where you talk about your thoughts about the observation, what went well, what would you have done differently if you were in the shoes of the teachers. So journals must be typed and submitted prior to September 30th, and I will go over the protocol for that submission with you at another time. Another component of the class besides the 200 points observation will be a philosophy of education paper. And as you can see on this slide, slide 10, there are several questions that will guide you in the completion of this paper. So basically you can look at those questions as topics. These will be the topics that we will be using throughout our class. So we'll be talking about, why do you want to become a teacher? What's the ethical role of the teacher? We'll be talking about your philosophical perspective. How would you manage a classroom? What instructional strategies would you use? And how would you meet the needs of diverse learners? So those will be topics. I'll provide you with the content and guide you in the creation of that paper. Another requirement is classroom participation. That's also going to be worth 200 points. There'll be time to time where we'll have face-to-face time, again with Skype or FaceTime. There'll be different types of technologies that we can use to do some face-to-face work. So your ability to be able to participate in that type of work, to be able to respond, will be important. And we'll have tests on the class, or in the class. Chapters 1 will have a test called Special Topics, and then tests for chapters 2, 3, and 5. And I have those tests paced out week to week. So I think if you keep up with what I would call a pacing guide, I don't think you'll have any trouble keeping up with the content of the class. So speaking of the pacing chart or pacing guide, this is basically what it looks like. On Monday, I would begin reading the chapter, take notes. On Tuesday, I would complete the chapter. Wednesday, I would preview the PowerPoint, which corresponds with the content of the chapter. Thursday, there will be some posting from the PowerPoint to Moodle, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that in another time, but that would be something that will help you on Thursday to really solidify content and get you more actively engaged in the content. On Friday, each chapter will have a study guide or a checkup guide, so it'll be a good opportunity to on Friday to review that guide. Saturday, prepare for your test. Sunday, take your test and rest, and then the next week we start all over again. The next slide, slide 14, kind of gives you an overview of the topics that we'll be discussing and the dates related to those topics. Also, if you go to Moodle, you'll see this spelled out explicitly, and you'll have an idea of what you'll be doing week to week. Actually, you'll have an idea of what you'll be doing day to day. As you go through the PowerPoint, you're going to see certain icons. Those will help guide you through the PowerPoint. The thinking monkey that you see there is basically, if you see that on a slide, would like you to reflect on the content on that slide. If you see the pants on fire, that means it's very important. You'll probably see it on the test. If you see the computer screen there, that indicates that you'll need to post something to Moodle. If you see resources, that means that there's information and content in the resource section of Moodle that will be helpful to you. And if you see draft, that means that there's a draft of something due, most likely a draft of your philosophy paper. When I first came to Young Harris 4 years ago, someone shared this picture of me and said that the Young Harris College is down there somewhere in the middle of this picture, and I've never really been able to tell exactly where Young Harris is, but I love the picture. I love the fact that it gives you a sense of perspective from being on top of the mountain down into the valley. Now there's going to be times perhaps during the summer where you're going to lose perspective, where you might get a little frustrated, might be challenging at times. If that ever occurs, the best way to gain perspective is just to get back in touch with me, communicate with me, and I will be glad to help you in any way that I can to get you back on track. I appreciate the fact that you're interested in taking this course online, and I will do everything that I can to help you be successful through this experience, and I look forward to working with you this summer.